Okay, Shalom Aleichem everybody, Muadim L'Simcha, Chagim Muzmanim L'Sason. We are back here with Shul.com and Rabbi Jonathan Dagmi, and today we will be speaking, who is hosting us and requested that we say a few words of Halacha that have to do with this holiday, this beautiful holiday that we are now in. So today we will be discussing the dinim of the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. We the Sfaradim say Lishev BaSukkah, Cham Ovadia writes to say Lishev with a chirik by the Lamed. The Ashkenazim say Lishev BaSukkah, but we say Lishev. And today I will be discussing some of these halachot from one of my Rebbeim's Sfarim. It's called Besukot Hoshavti. It's a new sefer that you can find in all the new Sfarim stores by the new Sfarim. It's called Besukot Hoshavti by Rabbi Avraham Maimon. He's a Rosh Kollel in Brazil, a very, very, very big Talmid Chacham. And he came out with a beautiful sefer. So today he has a whole parak in his sefer with everything that has to do with the bracha. So the first things first, we should know that the poskim already in the times of the Rishonim discussed what is the level of usage in a sukkah that would require you to say the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah, to say the bracha with Shem Malchut. That means therefore some people say that every time you just walk into the sukkah, even if you just want to sit down a little, and even if you're not gonna make a bracha, even if you're not going to eat anything, I'm not going to eat bread, I'm not going to drink wine, I'm not even going to drink water, I'm not going to drink seltzer. Just to walk in, that would be a requirement to say the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. This is the opinion of the Gaon Mivilna. The Mishnah Berurah does bring this down. This opinion. However, there are other opinions that say that only when you eat something do you say the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. Even if you eat a kabetza of mezonot, you have to say the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. The Ashkenazim pass, this is the minhag of the Ashkenazim, that anytime they come to the sukkah and they want to eat something, meaning just to walk in, they won't make a bracha. But if they want to eat a mezonot, they want to eat 2 cookies, for example, or they want to eat 2 rugalach, it depends on the size, they would already make a bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. However, our minhag, the minhag of the Sfaradim, is only that when I eat a beitzah of bread, remember, do I say a bracha of Lishev BaSukkah? That's the first option. Or the second availability, or the second option to say Lishev BaSukkah is if I'm eating a shi'ul, an amount of mezonot, an amount of cookies, or an amount of cake that will require me to be kovea seudah and make hamotzi. In such a situation, I say a bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. We will discuss that at length. But first, let's go to the first siyur of how would a person make Lishev BaSukkah if a person eats bread. So the halacha is if somebody wants to eat bread, which is until let's discuss it based on levels. Until a kabetza of bread, which is until 54 grams, you don't make a bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. Okay, and not only that, you're pater min sukkah. So let's say I'm eating a loaf of bread, a whole loaf. I take a loaf of bread, half of the middle slice, so that's a kezait, I would say, but it's not a kabetza. So a kezait, I don't have to eat in the sukkah. Even anything up to 54 grams, I would not have to eat in the sukkah. However, from 54 grams and up, I would have to eat in the sukkah. And not only would I have to eat in the sukkah, I would have to make a bracha. That's A. And I would, and also in order for you and anything to be considered eating in the Torah, we discussed this on Friday. Anything that's considered eating in the Torah, it has to be. You can't eat even if it's the amount of eating something. Even if it's the amount of eating over 54 grams, and you're eating a kabetza. But if you eat it you have to eat it within a period of time, which is considered eating. That period of time is called a shiur of Kedei Achilat plus, and a time of Kedei Achilat plus. Now, Kedei Achilat plus, the modern day poskim have discussed this at length. What is Kedei Achilat plus? It's a span of between 4 to 8 minutes. But Kedei Achilat plus is only for a kezait. So that means 4 to 8 minutes, you have to eat a kezait of bread, 27 grams of bread within 4 to 8 minutes. So if you would be eating a kabetza, in order to make a bracha of Lishev BaSukkah, you would have to eat a kabetza. That would have to be eaten within 8 to 16 minutes, okay? Because we're eating two kabetza is 2 kezaitot. So the amount of a 2 kezeitot is 2 k'dei achilat pras, which spans between 8 to 16 minutes. So you should eat the kabetza of bread within 14 minutes in order to be mechayev to say when you say the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah, you should make sure you're going to eat that piece of bread within 14 minutes. In such a situation, when you eat the amount within that period of time, then you would have to say the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. Regarding mezonot, so let's say somebody wants to eat bureka, somebody wants to eat a nice piece of cake, a nice piece of chocolate cake, crackers with herring. So until 54 grams of mezonot, you're pater from eating in the sukkah. However, once you're eating more than a kabetza, you have to eat it in the sukkah on Besukot. However, you would not make a bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. And that's where mezonot is different than bread, because we said by mezonot over a kabetza, you would make a bracha of Lishev BaSukkah over a kabetza. By a mezonot, you don't make a bracha of Lishev BaSukkah if you're eating over a kabetza of mezonot, but you would have to be eating it in the sukkah. So when do you say Lishev BaSukkah by mezonot? So only when you eat a shi'ul on an amount of 4 kabetzim, which is 216 grams of mezonot, which is not so hard. People don't realize this, but it's not so hard to do. Many times that's where this whole thing of 2 slices of pizza, 1 slice of pizza comes in. Whole people say, I'm only making a mezonot, and I only make hamotzi, and 2 slices, not 1 slice. Where did it come in? Because it came in from the side, the sizes. If you're 2 slices of pizza is usually 4 kabetzim. That's when somebody would say a hamotzi. 1 slice of pizza it depends how big the slice is, but a regular sized Miami slice of pizza is not a kabetza. So that's where it comes in. Same on Sukkot. If a person is going to eat a lot of mezonot in the sukkah, he's going to have pizza in the sukkah, he's going to have 2 slices, that's over 2 kabetz, that's over 4 kabetzim. In such a situation, not only would you have to eat your mezonot in the sukkah, you would also say the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. There is an opinion that even if you eat 3 kabetzim, which is a little over 160 grams, which is about 160 grams, then you would also have to make a bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. So somebody, even in that situation, if a person is going to eat 160 grams of mezonot, which also it's not so far-fetched, it's approximately 3 rugelach, it's a few pieces of cake, you would make a bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. But also you have to remember, you have to eat those 3 kabetzim within a shi'ur of k'dei achilat pras. So if you have 3 kabetzim, each kabetza is 2 kezait. 1 kezait of k'dei achilat pras is 4 to 8 minutes. Multiply that, so 1 kabetza would be 8 to 14, 8 to 16 minutes. So 14 times 3, you do the math, it's going to come out to approximately 51. No.
52 minutes.
14 times 3 is 50. Yeah, so you have to make sure to eat your mezonot within 52 minutes in order for the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah.
And you can say it's hanging up if you wanted to.
Yeah, we're gonna get there in a minute. How to say the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. Same thing would apply if you're eating anything that was a tafshil, which means any type of food that was made in a pot. Okay, so if somebody would be eating noodles, kugel, kibbeh, couscous, if you're koveh your seudah, which like we said is 4 kabetzim, 216 grams, or even if you're eating 160 grams of these types of foods, you would have to make a bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. All the shiurim that the Chachamim made, this is something very interesting. All the shiurim that the Chachamim made, they were going based on the amount of food you're eating, not based on the person. It was a din in the chefza, not a din in the gavra. It was a din in the chefza, in the food itself. This food, if you want to make the bracha, it has to be on this amount of food. But that's what the Chachamim considered a shi'ul kviat seudah. What's the practical application of this? If you have a person that had a kitzul keva, he had a surgery to, how do you say it in English? To make his stomach a bit smaller, tightening the sleeve of the stomach. What's the name of that?
The surgery?
Yeah.
Staple.
Yeah, if somebody would staple his stomach, and now he can barely eat a lot. He can barely even have 60 grams of bread. And for him, if he has 60 grams of bread, he's stuffed. Or if he has 60 grams of cookies, he's already stuffed. 60 grams of bread, we said you for sure should make a leisure. Let's say you have 60 grams of cookies, so you would have to eat in the sukkah. But for me, that's a kaviyut seudah. Would that type of person have to make a bracha of Lishev BaSukkah even on such a small amount? So the halacha is that even in such a situation, you will not make a bracha of Lishev BaSukkah, because even though for you it's a kviyut seudah completely, for that person who had that surgery, it's a kviyut seudah. But Chazal, our Chachamim, they said that kviyut seudah is based on the amount of food, not on the person eating, not on the eater, but on the food itself. It's not on the one eating the food, it's on the bracha is going on the food itself, on the amount of food that you're eating. And therefore, even if for you, the person eating a less of amount is a shiul kviyut seudah, that's not what defines, in the eyes of Chazal, a shiul kviyut seudah. You would need to have the actual amount of food. However, if a person has a safek, am I going to eat a kabetza, am I not going to eat a kabetza? In such a situation, we will tell him to make a bracha of Lishev BaSukkah, because there's a few reasons, there's a few tzerufim that we can be mitzarif. There's a few reasons we can say that based on those reasons, you would still have to say, you can still make the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah, and that would override our concept of sabal, which is safek brachot le'akel. So that was an interesting thing. When a person makes the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah, he should have kavana that he is coming to include in that bracha of Lishev BaSukkah all other uses that he will have the sukkah, walking around, sleeping in the sukkah, learning in the sukkah. He should have in mind that when he makes the bracha. So it says the Bikurei Yaakov. Now, how do you say this bracha of Lishev BaSukkah? So lechatchila, a person should make the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah standing up, and after he finishes saying the bracha, he should sit down. However, if a person said this bracha sitting down, he's also yotzei. The reason for this is that the reason why you should make it standing up is because it's really a machloket rishonim. It's a machloket Rambam and Rosh. The Rambam says that you should make the bracha standing up and then you should sit down. The Rosh says it's enough to sit down when you say the bracha, because it's. So what's the reasoning of the Rambam? What's the reasoning of the Rosh? The Rambam, there's differing opinions in the explanation. What was the reasoning of the Rambam? Some explain that the Rambam said this. The reason why you have to stand when you say the bracha is because in Halacha, when you in hilchot brachot, we have a concept of mevarech over la'asiyatan. You make a bracha before you do the action. So right now you're saying, I'm about to lishev, I'm about to sit in the sukkah. So before I'm making the bracha, then I'm going to sit. I have to do something. I have to do it I have to make the bracha in a way that shows that I'm about to do this action. So when I'm standing, I'm saying I'm about to sit down. After I make the bracha, I sit down. Like we say, we take a lulav. So we first take the lulav, we say al netilat lulav, and then we add the etrogim, and then we shake it to show that we're doing it. We make the bracha before blowing the shofar, because we're saying I'm about to blow the shofar. And more, like we have this on every Shabbat. Before I eat something, I make a bracha on the food because I'm about to eat this type of food. However, some explain that it's not a lashon of yeshiva; it's sitting. It's a lashon of yeshiva, of living in a certain place. That's what the Rosh holds. That it's an inyan of yeshiva. I'm sitting down. I'm living in there. It's not an inyan of sitting down. It's a conceptual yeshiva. I'm dwelling here currently. Some others explain in the Rambam has nothing to do with over la'asiyatan. It's because we know there's a klal, all the Birkat mitzvot you have to say standing up. So one, like we said, to review lechatchila, you should say the bracha standing up and then you should sit down. However, there are if you said the bracha sitting down, you are fine. You definitely have what to rely on. There is a big machloket in the poskim. When do you say this bracha of Lishev BaSukkah? For eating bread. So now I go wash, I come back into the sukkah, I want to make a hamotzi. Do I say the Lishev? When do I make the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah? So some opinions hold that you make the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah and then you say hamotzi. So that would mean in practical it would mean I come into the sukkah after I washed my hands, after I said al natilas yadayim. Because I want to, many poskim write, the Aruch HaShulchan, we don't paskin like this, but lechatchila, the Aruch HaShulchan writes, you shouldn't even wash nigelvasser in the sukkah because it's a davar bizayon. So we would go outside, do the netilat yadayim, we would walk back into the sukkah, come to our seat. Before we sit down, while standing, you should say the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. Then you sit down, take the piece of bread in your hand, say hamotzi lechem min haaretz, and then you eat it. However, there are opinions that say, no, I come into the sukkah, I sit down, I take the hamotzi, I make a bracha of hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Before I eat, immediately I make another bracha of Lishev BaSukkah, and then I could eat. L'chatchila, or not l'chatchila, the best thing to do, the more fit thing to do, this is what Chacham Ovadia writes, is to make a bracha of Lishev BaSukkah first, and then to make the bracha of Hamotzi. So write the Ben Ish Chai, and so write the Kaf HaChaim, and that's the best thing to do. Let's say I was eating my meal, I was eating my bread, and I realized while I'm eating, I forgot to make the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. I was so hungry. I just bought a delicious shawarma. I was famished. My mouth was watering. I forgot. I completely forgot. What do I do? So as long as I'm still eating, even if I have one bite left, I can make a bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. Or even if I finished eating the food, but I'm still gonna drink, or I'm still gonna have dessert, I can still make the bracha of Lishev BaSukkah. However, if a person already finished his meal and he's not planning on eating anything, if he wants to make a bracha of Lishev BaSukkah, he has to eat at least another kibetza of bread in order for that to count. But if he's still during the process of his meal, he does not need to make another bracha he can make the bracha immediately and doesn't have to eat more than what he's currently eating. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.